Hey friends, I'm Kate Bowler. Welcome to Everything Happens, where we talk about life when it's just too much. Too much beauty, too much terrible, sometimes both before 9 a.m. And it's July, which feels genuinely impossible because wasn't it March about a second ago? I just spent the last month in my hometown of Winnipeg, Manitoba. And for my American listeners, the province of Manitoba is above North Dakota and Minnesota. And yes, there will be a quiz later. My son was born in the United States, but my husband and I really want him to understand that his home is also in Canada. So I kind of did the hyper nostalgia tour where I was like, here is pemmican. It is made of bison meat. Here are the prairies. Behold the river. Meet every person I've ever known. Yes, we're walking through the halls of my high school. No, it's not too much. So as we do, we packed a lot in. We celebrated my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, which was so lovely. But then there was also time with both sets of grandparents and then also cousins, and then remembering that your parents are people and everyone is basically exactly the same as before you left, except that my mom has decided to start taking tango lessons, which is effectively the most precious thing I've ever heard. But it meant that by the time we made it home last week, I felt decidedly less rested than I had hoped. And maybe that's kind of how it always goes. Last summer, I decided it would be an amazing idea to take a massive road trip across the Midwest in our Airstream. And I had many work things that I thought, well, it's okay. I'll just pack it in. It's no problem. What a great idea. Let's make it a family thing in an Airstream for miles and miles without Wi-Fi. Listener, was it an idyllic family vacation, the one that I had envisioned? Unless, of course, you picture legs covered in hundreds of mosquito bites and tick sightings and lakes closed because of E. coli outbreaks, or maybe the fact that many of the Zoom meetings I had planned didn't actually leave any room to park our big trailer near any kind of satellite situation. All of this was part of the minimalistic, carefree holiday I had hoped for. So this month, I thought maybe we could talk about this as the season of too much, the too muchness of summer, of heat, of expectations, of sunscreen and sadness, of loud cookouts and quiet ache. Because I've noticed something. Every summer, like clockwork, we start talking about freedom. But secretly, many of us are completely overextended, fried to a crisp emotionally and physically. And instead of feeling free, we feel stretched, blurry, numb, maybe even just embarrassed. Because isn't someone out there doing summer right? There's something about this season when the sun is high and the days are long that makes people feel like they should be living their best lives. You know the type. Perfect beach days, tan, toned joy, kids that never whine, vacations that go off without an E. coli outbreak. You know the truth, though? Most people I know are just trying to get through most of the day without snapping at someone or staring blankly into middle distance when they turn off the engine of their car. Where am I? And what am I supposed to do now? And why is someone pressed up against the glass? So this episode is for the overscheduled, the overcooked, the emotionally sunburned, for the ones who feel like they're doing summer wrong because it doesn't feel like a vacation. This is a reflection on burnout and the bright sun, on the myth of self-sufficiency, and on the God who meets us even in our worn out swim trunks. Let's go back for a second. Do you remember what summer used to feel like as a kid? When time stretched out like a lazy cat, when you could lie on your back and find shapes in the clouds for entire afternoons, when the worst thing that happened was an afternoon rainstorm that interrupted your pool day, or getting popsicle all over your hands. Even if you didn't have an idyllic childhood, there was a seasonal shift in the air, a loosening of the grip. But now, summer has a new script. It's make the most of it. Maximize, schedule, post about it. You better have a vacation planned or you're failing. And for parents or caregivers or anyone shouldering invisible responsibilities, summer means doubling up on logistics. There's no breaks when the break falls on you. My friend told me that July feels like a month where you have to fake rest while doing 3 times the work. She said, I'm supposed to be soaking it all in, but I'm just soaked in sweat, in resentment. Bless it. The myth of summer as freedom is, of course, deeply American. Our calendars and our capitalism just say go, 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 but then they toss us a cold beverage and call it rest. But God's version of rest isn't productivity in disguise. It's not something you have to earn. God's rest says you are loved before you've done anything at all. You can stop. You're allowed to stop. Wouldn't it be nice if rest wasn't just optional, but mandatory? Actually, that's what the Christian church always wanted. It always understood the blessed necessity of rest. After 6 days of creating the universe, God, let's just say that again, God took a break and called it the Sabbath, a time of refreshment called holy. St. Ambrose of Milan recognized that rest was built into creation itself. He said that, quote, God rested not from weariness, but to teach us the value of measured labor and rest. Not only that, over the centuries, the church has tried very hard to demand relaxation. Holy days of rest? You know what they were already called, though, is holidays. You get the picture? Rest is holy. Actually, that's one of the reasons why Jesus' birthday was such a favorite. In the Middle Ages, people celebrated for 12 straight days. And where working wasn't just discouraged, it was actually forbidden. It was like the rest police, or you better be resting because you've got 11 more days of that. It's interesting to me that sometimes when we stop practicing something religiously as a culture, we simply replace it with a capitalistic version. Like there's a fascinating movement going on right now around the world that's starting to find out capitalistic approximations of Sabbath. And it's called the right to disconnect law. Are you allowed to ignore your boss's weekend email? Actually, you can in Kenya, Australia, Italy, France, always France. If you want to learn to take a break, become French. The brilliant theologian Walter Brueggemann, who recently just died, used to call Sabbath an act of resistance. And you can kind of feel why. In the go, go, go-ness of it all, it feels strange to simply stop. So maybe you're tired because you're trying to do a superhuman amount of holding on, of caregiving, of planning, of pretending to be okay. And maybe, just maybe, you're allowed to let some of it go. What if your check engine light tells you that you need a break? Maybe you're frustrated, short-tempered, or just plain numb. When I've learned, typically by the time I know that my body needs a rest, it will just get louder and louder until I listen. One time I remember lying down on the couch because it was all I could do and just looking up at the ceiling fan, spinning and spinning. And she said, God, I am too tired to be inspiring today. I hope that's fine. And I could hear the moment that I said it, that there was a clear and obvious spiritual answer to such a question. No one needs you to be inspiring right now. Just be here. We live in a culture that doesn't know what to do with tired people. It loves a comeback, a glow up, a hustle. But a person in need of rest, a person with limits, that's where the gospel starts to feel real. Jesus says, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Not success, not strategy, not even solutions, just rest, which it turns out is what most of us needed all along. This summer, I'm practicing what I like to call holy underachievement. It means I am lowering the bar on everything, like everything. Dinner, toast. Nutella, preferably, but toast is fine. Time with my kid, let's just lay on the floor and eat popsicles. Quiet time with God, well, a very frank 2-minute cry in the laundry room still counts. I'm letting go. I'm letting myself off the hook for trying to be impressive. Because the truth is, the people I admire most aren't the ones that do it all. They're the ones who know how to rest, who know how to laugh when the sandwiches are soggy, because that's like 100% of tomato sandwiches. People who can say no like it's a complete sentence when it's not mean when they say it. I once heard someone say that beauty is what happens when we stop trying to make everything mean something. It's not good. So if July is already too much, Too hot, too loud, too long. Let's try underachieving together. And maybe, just maybe, find something holy in the undone. So, as is my way, I would love to bless the crap out of us. So if you just want to close your eyes or let your shoulders drop an inch, you have been holding on to a lot. Here's a blessing for you in a summer of too much. Blessed are you who are burned out, sun-drenched, and soul-weary. You who long for rest but feel pulled in a dozen good directions. You who feel behind before the day even starts. Whose group texts go unanswered, and whose sunscreen ran out, and who cannot remember what day of the week it is. Blessed are you who are trying to care for others when you barely have anything left to give. You are blessed when you don't volunteer to bring orange slices to the soccer match, when you eat cheese and crackers for dinner again, when you say, sorry, I can't make it. You're not lazy, you're not failing, you are honoring your humanity. May you find pockets of rest when your body says no more. May you find something that you can set down when your calendar begs for margin. May you find a friend who helps shoulder it with you when you are spread too thin. And may you remember you are not a project to be optimized. You are a person, a beloved one. You don't have to earn rest. You just have to receive it. Even now, even here, in the middle of this beautiful, terrible summer. All right, darlings, thanks for being here. Whether today was a little too much or not quite enough, I hope you feel a little less alone. And if you know someone who also needs a break, consider this not passive aggressive to send this podcast along to them. And then you can both take a break together and go see a movie. I heard the new Superman's very good. Also, if you're looking for more blessings like the one you just heard, you can pick up my last book. It's called Have a Beautiful, Terrible Day. It has a lot of reflections and prayers for people who feel like they are unraveling slowly in the heat. You can find other blessings and reflections like this one over on Substack. I'm at katebowler.substack.com, and there's a whole tab for blessings. Yes, a tab, I tell you. And on Sundays, every single Sunday on Facebook and Instagram, I always post a blessing. So you can find me there at Kate C. Bowler. Until next time, take a nap, drink some water, have a banana, and may you have a beautiful, terrible day.